on, because everyone here, I've hosted TV in Scotland. I'm on adverts. I'm on billboards in Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Chaney.
Yeah. But, I got to this place in Scotland where I'd done it. I'd done the TV. And, it was that way where, you'd done the TV, but you weren't famous enough to have your own talk show, or you weren't this to have the...
That's how I feel.
Yes, exactly. And so I was like, well, what do I do? So I applied, and of course, everyone in Scotland, all the queer community were like, you're going to get on it. And they said, nope.
Doesn't that make it worse when you're good? Good enough that your fans and peers all are like, oh, you're a shoo-in. And then they say no. He's like,
yeah.
No, I was good.
Well, yeah, it sent me down a spiral staircase. I mean, I was tumbling, and I remember being like, do I audition again? Like, have I said something? Have I hurt someone? Have I, anything like that? And it turned out obviously not. It is just, when's your time is your time. But it can be hard to not get disheartened,
I was talking to a couple of different queens in Toronto who had applied for Canada's Drag Race. And Canada's a huge country with nobody in it. So most everyone is in Toronto. I mean, that's not true, but Montreal and Vancouver are the other two big cities. But Vancouver's on the other side of the country and, well, Montreal. And I'm just, but it's so easy to just be insular in Toronto. And a couple of queens had gotten fairly far into the process. I'm not sure if it's the same for you there, but there's the application, and then there's the health. They check your health and mentally make sure you're not crazy. You need to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
Little crazy.
Yeah.
They don't, but they like made it almost to the line and then no. And, it broke their hearts, but then they saw the first season and they were like, oh, thank God. Did you feel the same way watching season 1?
I had no idea what to expect, because I think at that time, the only spin-off that had been on was Drag Race Thailand, I think, was the only spin-off we'd seen, but that wasn't with Ru. So I remember being like, is this going to be a good show? Is there going to be budget? Is there going to be whatever? And we were all so shooketh that it was as good as it was, because maybe apart from the looks, it was a pretty good season, a pretty solid season.
It was a great season.
Yeah.
I didn't like everyone in the cast, but then that's true of any season. There's always somebody you don't like, but you sent me a note at the start of Drag Race UK just saying, even if you don't like somebody, you're very honest and respectful. And the point being is, these people are putting this all on.
Yeah.
And putting themselves on public television. And then they've made a fool of themselves, sister. And I don't want to disrespect them for putting themselves out there. Because, did you just want to slap her face? What happened?
Well, yeah, and the teeth would just fly out.
In my review, I've got chiclets in her mouth. It's very funny. But yeah, I would assume that there's a point in your day as a group, you're all sitting there, and you must just want to punch each other. Or I don't know. I feel personally what I would imagine to go on is that they don't want you solving any of your problems off camera.
Well, the cool thing again with having TV experience myself was I knew kind of what to expect, and I knew if you're gonna shout at someone, do that. You need to do it in this way. If you're gonna do that, because you're almost wasting your energy. Why did you get up if you're not gonna do it on camera? Imagine all the golden nuggets of funny bits that would just get missed if cameras were down, because filming takes ages to do, to set up a camera to this. So you do need to learn to hold it, And I'm a drama queen, so I've always been good at holding it and letting it out in very good places. So I'm very well versed in it. Yeah.
Whenever I've done stuff like that where it's reality and they're like, can we get you to say that again over here, but can you do it? Like, it's not direction, it's just we need the angle or whatever.
Yeah,
And my attitude is always, I'm sorry, are you asking me if I would like more camera time?
Yeah.
Yes.
do you know a funny thing that I said? Me and Bimini used to say it to each other a lot. Is if that ever needed to happen, if it was like on one of my sentences that I was saying, and they said, "Oh, could you actually just go to the beginning? You were covering your mic or something." Like Bimini would say to me, "God, Lawrence, don't you ever read the script?" I just love that because there is no script, but that whole learn your lines, fuck's sake. I just love that.
Yeah. How close? Like, I can imagine even people, because I'm not asking you, but I didn't think that Ginny liked you, or you didn't like her, or there was no love lost. I also feel like with Sister, she's rubbing a few people, unfortunately, the wrong way. But did you in generally get along well?
Well, she's not rubbing anyone the right way, let's say that. No.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
It's the hair. It frightens me.
I feel it. No, it's funny you say that because the whole tension thing with Ginny was something that I was so shocked at because I'd worked with Ginny before and we did a blast. We're funny people, but in a competition setting, all bets are off. And it is, even the people that it's a new first impression of them, sadly, And in the confines of the show, we didn't really get on at all. But the really cool thing is the honesty that me and Ginny have with each other. Ginny messaged me after filming and she said, listen, I'm not going to lie, I did have a problem with you when we were filming that whole first part, with COVID, but before COVID. And I said, oh yeah, no, don't worry. I had a problem with you as well. I think it was disgraceful that you walked off. And I said as well, I wasn't going to message you and pretend, oh, hey, babe. Oh, I miss you. Hope you're not, thingy of COVID. Because I didn't care. I was like upset. I was like, how can you walk off RuPaul's Drag Race?
Yeah.
And we'd not had an answer. And I wasn't going to be fake. And she wasn't going to be fake. And I respect that more with people. Like you're self-reviewing things. You cannot, no matter how much you like someone, no matter how much you dislike someone, you've got to give someone credit where credit's due and also critique where critique is due.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. We can't just be shitting out positivity,
Do you know how I get my ire out? Like if there's somebody, sorry, the light is hitting this one hair. Oh, there, it's fine. I felt like Thorgy Thor there for a minute.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that scared my thought out of my head.
You're having a brain fart.
Yeah, it'll come back. No, it's gone. When's your birthday?
What's that?
When's your birthday?
The 16th of October. So I have the same birthday as Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote. So very good company. Yeah, same.
I have the box set up there, but I watch it on Amazon Prime.
Obsessed with it. Obsessed.
Her, the Golden Girls, and my knitting. I'm good.
Yeah. Good. You've got good taste. There we go.
You and Ellie both talked about the drag scene in Scotland.
Yeah.
Edinburgh and Glasgow are the big cities I know of.
Yes.
Do they have drag in both those cities or no?
Yeah, no. So there's drag in. So the main kind of cities for drag are Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Dundee, which is where Ellie's from. Now, there's obviously, Aberdeen and Inverness and the Highlands, but they don't have a lot going on there. There's not really any clubs generally, let alone kind of gay bars or kind of functions like that. I'm not going to say they don't have any drag queens because the people in the comments will kill me. But, the scene is very small, meaning we don't have a lot of clubs. and there's only 7 days in a week. But in Glasgow, we have 200 and something drag queens.
Wow.
Because all these kids watch Drag Race and they turn 18 and they go, I'm going to try that. And that's fab. But the sad truth is it dilutes the whole scene,
What did you think as somebody who didn't make season 1 of Buffy Kendall and Scaredy Cat, especially Scaredy Cat had never performed?
Well, this is the thing again. Yeah. No, the main thing is I think I got it from a TV perspective. I totally understood why that's an interesting story. But again, it is that way of like, I've worked really hard to do this and you've just gotten on, and you've not performed. I also hate this whole, well, I've not performed. And it's like, right, but performing, whether you like it or not, is the bread and butter of what we do after the show. So if you go home first, you win. You're second out. You perform. You're lip syncing in a bar. You're singing. You're telling jokes in a bar, and you have to. For folk to dish out this amount of money to you and a huge platform as well, you've got to be able to hold someone on a mic. Tell them, hello, hello, Toronto, or, you've got to be able to do that and not go, hello, London, in Glasgow. You can't do that. So it's very weird, very, very weird. But again, I understood that perspective, but it's very like, the frustration was real.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that you do sew, yes?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And you do style your wigs, but like you obviously also get that stuff done.
Yes, yeah. I style pretty much. In fact, every wig on the show so far I've done myself because my mum taught me how to do it. My mum used to be a hairdresser. Yeah, my mum used to be a hairdresser, and
give us a hug for me.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing is. She was so good at these kind of 60s bouffant hairstyles. I said, Mum, could you try it out on this wig? It's the same kind of dressing out process of hair. You just need to steam the hair instead of roller it with heated rollers. And she tried it and she was amazing. And then I learned from her. So
that's
thank you, Mother.
Your wigs are stunning.
Oh, thank you.
Your costumes, particularly like the runway, I always assume that there's going to be a level of excellence for the runway. Maybe not between each queen, but for that queen. Her best stuff is for the runway. Yeah. How much did you have to invest for any of your wardrobe before you went on?
Do you know, this is what I dislike about some people's things that they have said after the show, is they say, well, I didn't have money. Well, I didn't have money and whatever. Right. Let's talk. Yes, drag is expensive. Me and you both know that. Drag is really, really expensive. But I've been doing drag for 6 years. This wig, 4 years old. Or whatever. There are ways to dress things up that you already have for challenges, for mini challenges. Yes, for the runway, that's its own beast. You don't just have a life raft headpiece that's sitting about. But
no, I have two.
Just hanging on the wall. No, in the toilet. Well,
they are in the toilet.
Yeah. But this headpiece is paper mache and polystyrene rings with a bit of scrap fabric here and some crepe cord on it. It's really not much, And yes, I was a full-time drag queen, didn't have a job before, didn't have a job to subside into it. And I had to make it work. You call in every favour, you call in every person you've sucked their dick, every person you've winched on a night out, every person you've any connection to people, you've got to call it in. And a lot of people just kind of say, well, I didn't have money and I had to make it work. And yes, you made it work because you're wearing clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you spent £20 on that fabric, why not spend £24 and you've got a gown? Instead of, it doesn't really make sense to me. And I put my heart and soul into all these looks. And I'm glad that people are able to see the effort.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, the one thing I appreciate, I don't care if a queen gets something made. I make clothes for a lot of queens.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I wouldn't get paid. So I get it. But there's a level of Drag Race for me where, like, this is why I was interested to see Gottmik on the American version, was because for most of her drag, I think it's face, which is her talent.
Yeah.
So I've never, like, even in researching her, I didn't see a lot of drag, full body drag. It was all face drag. And so she was one that I was like, oh, I want to see what that queen wears down the runway.
Yeah.
And when they did their own design challenge, you could see she's capable of this.
Yes.
And that's what I mean. These queens that show up, like Vanjie, Miss Vanjie for All Stars, was it, or her second kick at the can? She had the same outfit 12 times, but she hadn't looked at them all evening. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, how do I get a sense of who you are if you're just wearing any old thing? You don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. And I should have brought it through actually before this live. I drew out every look. We had it on the wall behind me, me and my friends, and I had a list, with 2 people's name on it. And I was like, the people that know, and it would be the people that were helping me out with the looks. Because, you have 3 weeks to prepare or whatever. So you can't cut every panel, every dart and everything, but you need to have a vision. I really wanted, to combine a really chic sense of fashion with campy drag aesthetics, and I'm really glad that people are receptive to it. But I knew that whether you liked it, whether the people on IMHO, whether the people on Bussy Queen, any of these, whether you liked it or hated it, I wanted to look like that, and I looked like that. It wasn't like, what am I doing? It was like, I want to look like this, Yeah.
Your Dianna Rigg costume, that's when I knew she's going to be top 3. Watch her. Because for you to have a Dianna Rigg reference, well, like I'm 54 and she was on TV before I was born. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know what's going on. But for you to have that, and that costume, like when you turned the corner, I knew exactly who it was. Yeah. There was no question whatsoever. That's Dianna Rigg, the Avengers, Emma Peel. Everyone needs to shut up now. And it was so amazing.
Well, that was an interesting runway because I find it so funny because people say, oh, Lawrence should have dragged up the hair. But then they'll say with Cherry Valentine as Freddie Mercury from I Want to Break Free, they'll say, oh, the hair was too big. And it's like, so do you want a cosplay or do you want me? And what I looked at it was, you've got however many weeks to see me look like this. I'm going to show you me as Dame Dianna Rigg. And it's going to be, Dame Dianna Rigg with the same winged liner that's small and a little feathery lash. And, we're going to do that. And, so the hair needed to be bigger to proportionate the body. Well, Diana wouldn't have had the hair bigger.
No, her hair wasn't that bouffant.
Yes, exactly.
No, it could see it from where it was standing, but it wasn't big. Yeah,
exactly.
What was your first drag queen? Oh, it was Lady Gaga. Do you remember what you got paid for that gig? or the first time you got paid?
Well, so I got paid £10 to do that performance, and then I had to do a few more gigs that were free. I didn't get paid for it. And do you know something that's interesting? I think you said about it that in Toronto it's tipping, isn't it? It's tipping is the main thing. But in Scotland and in the UK, it's pound coins we've got. We don't have notes. So you can't throw pound coins at people. It's like bullets. Don't do that.
You need to go to Newfoundland, Canada, and they'll flick a loonie at you.
Yeah.
But we have a dollar, a loonie. It's called a loonie because there's a loon bird on it.
Right.
That's why it's a loonie. And then the toonie because we're Canadian and we're stupid. And because it's a double and a loonie and a toonie. That's our life here. But our smallest bill is a 5. So most queens, I get paid in 5s. These queens will come with a stack of sweaty 5s, and here you go. They count them out, and that's their tips. But like some queens now, especially with COVID, they'll put buckets down. They're getting a lot more coins.
Yeah, that's the thing is you never want to be, you never want to just be someone's like 2 pence drop off point of like, oh, what am I going to do with this manky Corona sorting bit of money? Here we go, bop. And that is the problem. Was we started doing a great friend of mine, Queen here, called Amphetamine. She used to stand at the door with a bucket and she'd shake it, staring into the people's eyes, being like, I won't eat tonight. Yeah. And she's like, I won't eat tonight unless you put money in here. And it worked. So that was a great way to elevate our money. But the money situation here is still pretty bad. And my whole concern about talking about it is I'm not dragging venues in the slightest. I'm so thankful to the venues for letting us do our thing and being a safe space where we don't get beaten up or anything like that. They do take care of us. But fundamentally, you're stopping me from putting money, from putting food on my table. So I need to talk about it. It's a need,
Yeah. I think the hardest thing about performance, because I think Bimini touched on it in the Queens on Lockdown, was just how disposable entertainment becomes when you can't be one-on-one. But something like your tutorials, fantastic. I am so thrilled, and you have some from before Drag Race. So your Mrs. Brown's is adorable. But I think there's definitely been a big switch in, like, Joe Black has great digital performances now.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is there's all sorts of options for tipping. So, I, as a Canadian, it was very hard for me to even suggest tipping because I'm Canadian. It's like, oh, no, sorry, no, sorry. And then somebody said, well, if you were in a bar, I'd tip you. And it's like, well, you're damn right you would. So I quantified it in my head. And now the reason you and I are talking is because I have Patreoners on Patreon who said, you need to talk to Lauren. Because I think what it was we were chatting. They go, because I used to be on radio and I've interviewed Michelle Visage, Ben de la Creme, Sharon Needles, Jinx Monsoon, Ginger Minch, all of them. But on the radio, I've never met them. I mean, that's not. I've met some of them in face to face after the fact, but I've lost my train of thought again. I go down the past. What was I just talking about?
Talking to people on the radio, doing things online.
Yeah, and when you're talking to people, there's I think a level of professionalism. Like I remember interviewing Bianca Del Rio because she had her movie Hurricane Bianca coming out.
Yeah.
And I can't gush over people.
Yeah.
I'm also 6'4" and 300 pounds. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot coming at you. So we were talking earlier about loud personalities and not wanting to be a silky ganache, but when you're already larger than life, you're already coming in full silky and you haven't done anything yet. So I'm constantly trying to just, as a polite Canadian, just pull it all down. That was my point. The Patreoners, I was telling them about your note. Because they said, have you talked to any drag queens. And so I did, and I told them who my favorites were. And literally everyone I've talked to has been a favorite. The only disappointing queen was Tyra Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
She was a sour and I interviewed her in the studio. She was as sour to interview as she was to watch. So that was my only disappointment. But I said that Sharon Needles in the middle of season 4 said, "You queens all need to look at this video. She's a hoot." And that video got 10,000 views. And that's 8 years ago. And then last year, Jada Essence Hall messaged me just saying, "I love your videos" on Twitter. And somebody responded like, "Is that Jada Essence Hall?" I'm like, "I think so." Like, I don't know. And then you left me a message on the Instagram, which was just absolutely the most charming and lovely thing I think I've ever read. And so in saying that, my Patreoners all said, "Oh, well, you should interview Lawrence." And as the Canadian, I'm like, "Oh, well, I don't want to bother her. I'm sure she's fully busy with stuff." And then I
busy with no gigs.
Didn't get back to me right away. And I was like, "Oh, now I feel..."
This is the thing is, I love your videos, and I just think it's so easy to slag people off online. It's really easy. It's too easy to slag them. And a lot of interviews, and these review shows and stuff that I'd seen, it was all very... people were just being nasty for kind of the sake of it because you weren't their favourite. And what stuck out to me was, do you know what? Even when someone wasn't your favourite, you still gave them the same amount of time. You still spoke about their look and went through points about it that you did like and some things you didn't. And I think that's what a true star is. It's someone that's able to kind of dissect drag and, reference the art, not the artist. Remove yourself from that. So I'm just a huge fan of everything you do.
Oh, well, thank you, doll. Oh, my God. Now, because we're now in... Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Movie or music when you're getting into drag? What do you do?
Oh, movie. Has to be.
Your favorite movie to watch?
Do you know, it sounds so stupid, like, because I watch it a lot, on repeat a lot. I either watch The Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, or what's another one? It's like any Melissa McCarthy movie. It just gets me in that ridiculous sense of humor. I try and find something that gets me in that mood,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like to watch movies over music. Music's great, but something like Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, like that's a fabulous one to get ready to because there's music. Victor Victoria is another one.
Yeah.
My favorite movie is Anti-Mame because some poor suckers are starving to death. But,
well, but this is the similarities between our movies is they don't require a lot of attention. They're not, they're not gripping thriller horror movies where you need to be watching the shot, to see if that creepy man's in the background, whatever. They're nice, quite light, easy kind of entertainment movies. That's the common thing.
Well, and I've gotten into a rut where I watch like 30 films and 3 or 4 TV series. I'll just loop the series.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like The Nanny just got taken off Netflix. I'm beyond upset. Or off of Prime. I'm beyond upset. But I don't... I can't, like, because I'm styling a wig or I'm sewing, like, so my eyes aren't up.
Yeah.
So for me to watch something like... Somebody said to me the other day, "Oh, The Boys' new season is out. Have you seen it?" It's like, I want to, but I'm busy.
Yeah.
Like, I sit there and stare and do nothing, and I feel guilty. I start tidying where I am. Like, just crazy. It's crazy. I can't just sit.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I'm exactly the same. I find you do feel guilty, especially like now. When there's YouTube videos that I'm filming and cameos and merch to sign and stuff. I'm sat there with a big pile of unsigned prints staring at a movie and I'm going, I need to do some of this shit instead of watching this horror film, you know? So it's, that guilt is very real.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh my God, don't make me choose. I love...
Well, let me say, what's your favorite classic?
Okay.
And then what's your favorite, like, newer?
Well, so I love, if we want to go classic, so what people, I don't know if you know this about me, but so my name comes from Lon Chaney, the silent movie actor who did horror films. So he did The Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback of Notre Dame, when they weren't gay, sing along, you know, fun movies, when they were downright gritty, silent horror movies. So I love... Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I love The Phantom of the Opera. I love Frankenstein as well from 1931 is just a hoot. You know, and they're horror movies that don't depend on gore or it's sinister, it's ambience, you know. And kind of modern horror films, I would have to say, like, you know, the polar opposite to it is like Scream or...
Oh, yeah, Scream's great.
Again, Scream's great because of how camp and stupid it is at the same time. Or The Conjuring or something like that. I love it just because of the costumes, you know.
The closest I can get to watching horror is The Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, oh, that's fun though. That's fun.
It's tongue-in-cheek. It's yeah, and you know something's going on early, so it takes the fear out of it. But I can't watch like The Nun. I can't watch that.
Yeah.
If I watched that, I couldn't host Knock Knock Ghost.
No, imagine that. Is that, you know, are you a wee bit scared of nuns? Does it remind you of your previous life?
I don't. The minute the lights are off, I'm all bold and strong until the lights are off, and then I'm in a corner wetting my pants.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the dark. I just don't like things scaring me. But what's funny is, as a kid, I would do practical jokes on people all the time. So maybe I'm afraid of my karma.
Yes, definitely. It's karma back to you.
Now, what have you got planned, in theory, after Drag Race? Like, because we're vaccinating. This will get better. Like, this time next year will be a different world than now.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, clearly you've got your online stuff that you're able to do.
Yeah.
Are you building up your YouTube channel? Is that something that you kind of not focused on until now, or? Yeah,
I mean, I left YouTube in the dark because YouTube is the hardest platform to grow followers, subscribers, and I saw how, no shade, I saw how like Blue Hydrangea from last season did it, and I was like, the videos themselves were great, but when you're releasing the look a month after that episode's come out, babes, like it's been and gone. The bus has been and gone. So I was like, well, no one here, you know, everyone's shitting themselves because this is a pandemic. No one's utilizing, the internet is the future. Netflix, YouTube, it's all the future. Prime. What have we been talking about what we watched on Prime? Not what we, you know, when we fired up and rotaried up our fucking TVs in the corner. Is the internet is the future. And so I want to keep on doing YouTube and build that up. And I also, it may sound very bold and presumptuous, I want to do a Lawrence Chaney world tour. I would love that.
You should. That would be fantastic. I would watch that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I think just seeing you anywhere, because you proved it on Morning Glory.
Yeah.
Just the ability to just go with whatever's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I like Ellie, but she's young, and the difference in your ages is very minimal, but the difference in your experience seems to be very vast. She's got her skills and everything, but there's moments when she's talking and you're like, oh, you're a child. Sorry. Sorry.
I think the sad thing there is Ellie and me have had the same sort of experience. You know, Ellie has hosted a show before, but she put herself in that box that I was talking about earlier on that you should put yourself in, that I put myself in with dancing, you should put yourself in that, because she said, well, I'm a makeup queen hosting this show. You know, not, you know, whereas I host, I love telling jokes. You give me an option to host all night and not perform, I will take it. You know, and I just love talking to people, you know.
When I started stand-up as like out of drag, like that's where I started performing as a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And again, I was so nervous to remember even things I'd written, you know, like you always forget something. So I started ad-libbing as a comic, but then they moved me into hosting. And then I remember I just started showing up with no material, because one of the club owners said something. There were 4 of us comics, and I think somebody had said something and it got us all thinking, oh, that's fun, you know. We were just taking a note, but he thought we were all like assembling our set for the night.
Yeah.
And I as a proper Canadian lad of a certain age, statements like that cut me to the quick. So I was immediately, I don't think I ever took a book into a club after that.
Yeah.
And even that night, I think I ad-libbed the whole show. And you're only doing 10 minutes in between people. It's not an eternity. But for some people, 5 minutes without a script is an eternity. So... yeah. So now you're Scottish, and I feel like Scottish and Irish, Welsh too, there's this ability that the gift of the gab, the silver tongue, we're just able to like open our mouth, and more times than not, something good enough comes out. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. And also just to know, I have to jump off very soon, but we'll round this up. But totally agree with you. I think there's something about a regional accent. I would also say it's primarily a kind of UK, like you said, Welsh, Irish, Scottish, where it's not violent. It's quite it's a bit of a ho 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 ho. It adds to a kind of humor. I mean, I spoke to one of my friends, CJ, who does drag here, and we said jokes don't even need to be funny. Do you know when you're hosting like a bingo for 4 hours, you're fucking tired out your mind. The audience is wasted. You know, they're all the wives and the girls who are just wasted having a fun time, and they've drunk so much that they don't hear what you're saying on the mic. So all you need to go is and that in the way you tone your voice, they know to go, they know to do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have a chat with you. Part of this is still very surreal to me because it is the internet. And, you know, I watch you on the internet and then I talk about you on now, and here you are. But I have to tell you, I'm so impressed by what you're doing. I think you're going to be a great representation of drag, period. Never mind where you're from, whether you win or lose. The world loves you already. And I think you've really proven that to book Lawrence Chaney on a show, you're going to get more than what you paid for.
Yes.
And I can't wish for more better things to happen for you. Now, if people want to buy your merch and stuff, where can they do that?
So if you would like to purchase any of my merch, go to lawrencechaney.com and click the shop section, and that will forward you to Drag Merch UK, who is the official stocker of all my merch. Thank you so much for having me and spending time talking to me about all my stupidness. So thank you.
Maybe after it's all said and done and the crying has stopped, we can do it again.
Oh my God, you are hateful. Hateful. Much love. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Thank you, Bill. Best of luck. Break all your legs.
Bye.
Bye.